Are you concerned at the water crisis and the effect that it's going to have on the tourism business in particular?
Yeah, I'm obviously very concerned at anything that might affect businesses that serve tourists. I have been in touch with a lot of people about this, and by and large the disruption actually has been quite limited. You know, certainly all the households in my constituency still have water, the hospital is working fine, the fire brigade didn't have any problems last night, so it's hard to know what the extent of the problem is, but it actually seems to be quite limited. But obviously anything that affects business or affects tourism I'm concerned about.
Are you concerned at the fact that we don't even know what the problem is? I mean, we're hearing lots of rumours about chemists having to be brought in, but the council still haven't actually fessed up and said what the problem is here.
Yeah, well, I do think that the City Council could have done a better job in terms of communications. We know the problem is in Ballymore Eustace, but we don't know exactly what the problem is.
Minister, do you have any, just on a Dublin bus issue, do you have any concerns now about this SIP2 ballot next week, especially, we're coming off a midterm break now, so it could put a lot of people out if there's any action?
Well, that's obviously the case, but there's really two things that I can say. First of all, absolutely everything has been done to try and secure cost savings by agreement. There were negotiations locally at the company level, at the NRC, at the Labour Court, back to the Labour Court again, and then most recently this intervention by the government, I think too. And the vast majority, or at least a clear majority of workers at all grades have voted for the most recent proposals. So really now the ball is in SIP2's court as to whether they want to have a strike or not.
On the property tax, are you in favour of any extension of any deadlines there? Are you worried about consumer sentiment coming into Christmas being damaged by the confusion over that issue?
I'm not worried about consumer sentiment going on to Christmas, but I am a little bit confused as to exactly what the Revenue Commissioners are saying. I've had a lot of calls to my constituency office about the issue of the property tax, and people are asking me why do they have to pay this year for a tax that doesn't fall due until next year? And I can't give them a satisfactory explanation to that, and I've been in contact with the Revenue and they haven't given me a good answer either. So I'm confused too as to why somebody should have to pay in 2013 for a tax that doesn't fall due until 2014. So I'd like to hear a better explanation as to why that is.
And would you like to see the deadline maybe extended?
That's not really for me to say, but,
yeah.
My basic view is that a tax that falls due in 2014 should be paid in 2014.
Minister, on the issue of same-sex marriage, the Taoiseach said he'd like to see a referendum definitely next year, if not by 2015. It's been discussed at Cabinet next week as well. Do you think there should be a referendum in the lifetime of this government or by 2015?
Yeah, this hasn't been discussed at Cabinet yet, and I don't know whether or not it's on the agenda for next week. I'd like to see a referendum on it. I'm in favour of permitting same-sex marriage, but that's a personal view. It's not necessarily the view of the party. We haven't had a chance to discuss it as yet. But referendums are funny things. Some people believe they're the purest form of democracy. In reality, the vast majority of people don't vote at all, and those who do often vote for extraneous reasons that have nothing to do with the proposition they're actually being asked about. So I would rather have the referendum later and win it than have it sooner and lose it. So I think it's important that when we do the referendum that we plan for it and do it at such a time when we can be sure of a decent turnout.
I think that could be by 2015.
Well, one option is 2014, to have it on the same day as the local and European elections, when at least we'd be assured that a substantial number of people will come out to vote. So that's one option. Another option then is later down the line, but certainly I'd like to see it during the period of this government for sure.
And just one thing, the Taoiseach are trying to get the adoption issue out of the way. Do you think that's complicating the issue?
I think if it's not out of the way, it might complicate the issue, because of course gay people can adopt, but at the moment they can only adopt as individuals. They can't adopt as a couple, so I think we'd better to resolve and clarify those kind of issues before a referendum.
Can I just ask a quick question on banking? I mean, we've seen ACC, Danske, Ulster Bank restructuring. So are you concerned that, we're now going to have an uncompetitive banking market and that the consumers are going to end up being screwed as a result?
Well, one thing I am very happy with is the decision today in relation to Ulster Bank. That's actually good news. It's a good outcome. We were concerned that the British government might decide to split Ulster Bank from RBS. They didn't decide to do that, and that's a very positive decision. Obviously, seeing smaller banks leave Ireland, like Danske, is definitely bad news for consumers. But at the same time, KBC, for example, have recommitted to Ireland, and that's very positive.
And what about the State Investment Bank? I mean, it was promised in the programme of government. There hasn't been any real activity on it so far.
not sure if that's really a solution. We do a strategic investment fund, which is something slightly different. But we do already have 2 banks in state ownership, AIB and Permanent TSB, and then one bank, Bank of Ireland, which is partially owned by the state. So I'm not really sure whether having a third state-owned bank is the solution. What we need really is a bank with a clean balance sheet that can lend into the Irish economy.
Just one thing, back to the water again. With the Web Summit here over the past couple of days, was it slightly embarrassing for the government that we had such an issue with water, with so many people from abroad looking to do business here or thinking about it?
Well, look, it's never a good thing to have water supplies cut off, and anything that disrupts business is of concern to me. But I did actually speak to a lot of people who were at the Web Summit, and none of them told me they had any problems, whether it was with getting their breakfast or having their shower in the morning. So there definitely has been disruption as a result of this, but the disruption appears to me to be quite limited.
What time did you do the marathon on a Monday? What time did you do the marathon on a Monday?
Didn't do the marathon.
You didn't do the marathon? Skipped it this year. You got to put your tag in the press bus like the other guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're saying all the web people.
God, no.